In my opinion, one of the best things about filmmaking is that every single film you have the opportunity to make it better than your last. You make it 10 times better, 100 times better, depending on if you do this trick or not. Evaluating. Every single film, before you make a new film, look at your last film and evaluate it. Look at what you did wrong and work on it. Look at what you did right and perfect it. And your film will come out way better than that last one did. I can assure you of that. It's something I've been doing for years now. I believe I've been doing filming for 4 years now, about to be 5 years, I'm pretty sure. And the thing is about that is, when you look back at my old films, my very first films, they were interesting, to say the least, and I'm actually going to show clips of them today. I've never seen before clips. I've never shown these on YouTube. I hope I didn't have to, but if it's going to help a filmmaker out there watching this video that needs to learn this, I think it's worth it. It's going to be pretty cringy for me because some of my older films are, like I said, interesting. So let's get right into it. Shotgun versus AR was the pinnacle of filmmaking for me at the time when I made it. Back in 2019, I was starting to get back into filmmaking after watching a couple short films on YouTube, and I was like, I'm going to try this. And everyone gets into filmmaking some way, and this is mine. I was in filmmaking way before this, but when I started doing this is how I got to where I am now. Constantly making these little films and constantly getting better each time. But I pulled it onto here on this video for a specific reason. It was to look at the mistakes I made all the way back then, because I'm assuming, I think I've already prefaced this in the intro, but if you're on this video, I said you can be a beginner and watch this video, but you can definitely learn stuff from this video, even if you've been on for a couple years doing filmmaking, depending on whatever. So for this particular film though, I think if you're a beginner, there's a high chance you're making this mistake, and it's something I did for so long that when I finally fixed it, it really helped the production level of my films. And it was the thing that I did where I constantly used waist shots. And a waist shot is a shot where, it can be called a mid shot or a waist shot. And the shot is basically your characters in the frame waist up to about to their head level. That is a waist shot. Most of my shots looks like that. It was either a large shot or a mid shot, waist shot, whatever you want to call it. And every single time, there were almost zero close-ups in any of my old films, and it all looked like this. It was almost all mid shots, 90% mid shots, 10% large zoomed out shots, and brought down the production level a ton, because you can't build tension if all of your shots are just waist shots. It looks like an old 50s show, because I don't know if anyone's seen those, but they all pretty much were large zoomed out shots and waist shots. That's what they all looked like, and that's what all of my films looked like. They constantly had the same look, the same feel, and when I started doing all the lighting and color correction, everything was overexposed. You could see that here, and even when my films were just normally exposed, I wouldn't even try to fix it. I didn't even know how to fix it. So that's one thing. Always try to mix up your shots and use the correct shot at the correct time. Don't just zoom up because you learned how to master the zoom shot. Only do that close-up shot if you want to build tension, something of that sort. I never used it. I had so many chances I could have. I just didn't know how to use it, never did. And I used the waist shot, the mid shot, every single time. Even in shots where I needed to build tension, that tension was just not there because of how I used my camera angles. Five Nights at Freddy's was a film I made all the way back in 2020, and I pulled it into this video for two reasons. One, because in the intro, there is obviously some things I need to explain. And the main thing is lighting and color correction. Now, the lighting in this scene is either really dark and you can't see anything, or it's very bright because my character has a flashlight. So you have to kind of, in this one, you're going to look at it and you're going to say, well, there is no in between. You can't see anything because it's too bright or it's too dark. So how do you fix that? Well, it all stems from one problem: being able to film in the dark. And that's something I still kind of struggle with to this day. I've gotten better at it. I actually messed up quite bad in The Shadow, which is a film I think we made last year or 2 years ago. I think it was last year. It was a film, most of you probably remember this because it's quite recent on the channel, about a year ago. And it was a kind of a horror film, kind kind of a scary film, filmed totally in the dark at night. And I think we made a bad choice filming this at night because it was so dark and we could not control the light at all. And something I've learned recently is how to control the light. Also, by filming in the daytime and making it look night is sometimes easier than filming at night and making it look brighter. So that's one thing I did every time I wanted it to look dark. I always filmed at night, which got really hard to lighten because I don't have a lot of lighting equipment at all, actually. I have a couple flashlights and a couple other things, and that's really all I have to light my set. So I think one thing you got to do is you got to blacken out. You need to get blackout curtains, hang it over your windows, and block every port of entry for your light. And then what you want to do is set up lights in your house to look like it's coming through the window, get blinds, anything to make it control the light. You want to control every little detail you can in a film, control every bit of the light, so you control your setting, control the light, you can control the film. And it's something I obviously kind of messed up at in this film, but it's something luckily I've gotten better at, and I want to share that with you all in this video. That's why I brought it up, because lighting is very important. Also in color correction, when you're just learning color correction, it's sometimes very tempting to go all out, make something look really blue if you want it to be night or cold, in a cold setting, or really red or really whatever if you learn color correction. Color correction, in my opinion, is that really subtle cinematic detail that you can't really put your finger on, but you know it looks better than normal. So color correction is definitely something that is good to be perfected, something I don't have perfected. I'm still working on it, but it is it's a subtle thing that will definitely help once you master. And the other thing from this film, something I've done so much, especially 2 years ago, I did this for 2 to 3 years before I was like, I need to fix this. And it is doing the same shot. And yeah, what I mean by that is keep the camera still for so long without my character moving, it becomes boring, almost becomes borderline unwatchable, and you just want to click off the film. That's something you don't want to happen, especially if you're posting or sharing your films. You want to keep the camera moving if your character's standing still. You want to at least be some camera shake or something, make the character or the scene look interesting. If you're going to have a kind of a standing still shot without the camera moving, there are times to have a standstill long camera shot, but I would do it so often in places where it did not need to happen, and that's something you'll learn, is don't overuse the same thing to where it's unnecessary. You always want to have a certain shot in a certain time, because there's a place and a time for every shot. I would use the same 3 shots in a 3-minute film, and it would look very boring and very repetitive. Circling back to The Shadow, which is one of my latest films, I want to point out some stuff that I did wrong that I didn't point out earlier. And the main thing is building tension. It is something I actually actively tried to get better at when it came to this film. Building tension is something I was actually trying to work on in this film. And I definitely did a lot better than I did on previous scarier films. But I definitely have realized recently I could have done way better with multiple things. Actually, I talking to Alex before the film, we were kind of game playing the whole thing. We talked for a long time about which way our film was going to be scary and how we would build tension, kind of. That's kind of the thing, scary is tension. And we were talking about audio cues, visual cues. We want to try everything. And we tried all of those things, but couldn't really execute it correctly. And sadly, it didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it to because we didn't execute it correctly. It's totally a thing that I did very wrong. And there are a couple things I know I could have done better when it came to it, and a lot of it was how I positioned the camera. The camera wasn't, how we kind of filmed it was definitely not the greatest, and visual cues when it comes to tension is definitely better. So let me show you an example of 2 clips. One is, it's the same shot, but in one of these shots, the camera is still, I would say it would be a large shot, and it's, showing the entire scene, and it's not close up at all. And there's another one where I'm trying to build tension with a close up shot. Also, one thing I learned when researching horror movies before I made The Shadow was you don't want to show off your villain, your killer, your ghost, whatever it may be, your antagonist of a scary film until pretty much the end or later in the film, because it's a lot scarier when you don't know what you're dealing with. So that's one thing that I tried to do, was have the shadow present in the back of the film a couple times, but you couldn't get a good glimpse of him. So also, that's something I did with this coming up shot. It's showing the entirety of your antagonist, and there's another clip that is just showing a glimpse. So tell me, what do you think is building more tension? It's just incredibly insane how a subtle difference can build more tension in a scene. And I'm very looking forward to this September, October, because obviously it's getting towards spooky season, okay? A lot more scarier type films are going to be coming up soon. I'm very excited for. Also, I'm very aware it's been a while since I've posted. I've been away a little bit. I know I've been a lot traveling, so I couldn't do a lot of videos, because these videos do take like an entire day to make. And that's kind of why I've been away, but I'm trying to get as many videos as I can coming out. We also have been working on other films that we're going to be posting in the future, which takes a lot of time. There's actually, I'll go ahead and say this. I'm going to kind of talk about something. The second video on this channel I ever posted was like a teaser for our Five Nights at Freddy's like short series that we were going to do. It was called Five Nights at Freddy's Now Open. It was going to be a whole show. And that video is now privated. The teaser is because we're still doing the show. We've been actually planning the show since 2020. We just haven't done it yet. We've been scripting and planning since 2020. And we've had a lot of things done for it. But we realized we wanted to change a lot, so we took down our teaser. And I've actually been teasing it a lot on the channel. It's just really, it's kind of like an ARG type style. It's very hard to find the teasers for that show. I don't know when the show's going to come out. We haven't started filming yet. We're still scripting the show. We've actually scripted, I think, a couple of the episodes for it. But hopefully we're going to get done with it. And I'm excited for it. But yeah, it's going to be really cool. I'm excited for that. But that show is going to be, I'm going to be testing myself an insane amount, and I'm very excited, because every film I like to test myself. So yeah, that's kind of it. The shadow, it's mainly just those things I talked about, just building the tension with visual and audio cues. How you move the camera determines things. What you show and what you don't show in a scary film is a lot of a difference. So I'm very excited to do a lot more spooky stuff this coming up 2 months, okay? Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you all liked it. I hope you all laughed alongside me, because this is probably the cringiest thing I've ever done since I had to go back through all of my old films and rewatch them again. So it's a great time though. So don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so you know anytime we post a new video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.